Sickest Man of Kaweens, a children's story. Part 1. The Angry Cloud. There is a prosperous island named Kaweens. Sweet air filled the skies and salty fish swam the open seas. One day, a scary-looking cloud came over the island of Kaweens. It was angry and mopey, and it carried a sack of old beans. It rained beans on the shamans and elders, leaving families scattered. It rained beans on the fishermen and farmers, leaving children hungered. The onslaught of the angry cloud did not spare the weavers and storytellers. As it poured old beans, shout thunder and cried even louder. Repairs and rituals became hard, for the builders and cleaners only had mustard. The people of Kaweens was stuck in their huts, so their chieftain said,
"Do not let the aches get to your butts. When all of this is done, we will all enjoy the sun."
For now the sun had to rest. The angry cloud was too furious, even for the sun's best. This time, life on the island is in grief, for Kaweens' sunshine is taken by the angry cloud, a thief. Unable to produce goods and gather food, the island trades and the chieftain were in a bad mood. Feeling victorious, the cloud yelled more and more, spreading beans to the sleeve of their shirt, beans to the corner of their door, beans until people's throats began to hurt. Beans until Kaweens was so deep in the smell of old bean that everyone was sick and turned green. Man had an idea and stepped forward, shy but smart and had allergies to mustard. What if the best and the strongest brave the storm? Continue work and gather food so the young and old can feel somewhat warm. The chieftain and elders gathered, while the children and islanders remained sheltered. 1 hour, then 2, a bang of yeses and no boo. Kaweens began implementing, and for now the plan seems working. Man is called a savior. The chieftain said, "Man will be a great leader." A bit of sunshine peeked over the angry cloud, and life on the island was moving. Even when old beans needed plowing, there was food, play, and a little good cheering. The angry cloud was cunning and devious. It slid old beans when people were out in their business. No one knew they were smelly and atrocious until they got home, and with them the beans' yuckiness. The chieftain said, "Everyone, calm down. Kaweens is safe and strong. To stop the angry cloud, we must not frown. Band together, for the days will be long."
"But my daughter is green,
my husband reeks of old beans,
and my brother can't breathe."
Afraid and helpless cried the people of Kaweens. To stop the spread of old beans, the elders agreed.
"Stay in your huts, maybe 20 days long. Kaweens is safe and strong. Lock your doors and windows so there's nothing to fear. The angry cloud will soon tire and disappear."
"What will we eat for 20 days long?"
"How can we work and live if everything is gone wrong?"
The people cried, stepping out of their huts. So again the cloud snuck behind everyone's struts. Man saw the cloud slip behind the growing crowd. "Stay in your huts so the cloud can't see where to stick and throw old beans freely." But man didn't notice that the cloud has gone inside her hut to spread beans till dawn. To the elders and chieftain she extended her plea of the cloud's wit and trickery. But the people's panic and fear was something to hear. They started to keep coconut nuts and its milk, keeping dried meat wrapped in paper and fine silk. They locked wild chickens and geese for themselves, taking the whole banana, its leaves and fruits in their shelves. They kept jars of water and sacks of rice. They even kept sacks of jars and jars of sacks, leaving nothing for the mice. They hid ointments and oils, herbs and balms, so they can stay in their huts, free from worry and smelly palms. In despair, man went home full of worry, afraid of the cloud and its smelly fury. The people of Kaweens is safe in their huts at least, even when there's nothing left for a feast. In her hut she found the angry cloud, with a mopey face and a cry so loud. The tears made of beans spread throughout her hut, and the stench it made stank like fish gills and gut. Then man thought to save Kaweens, so this she must do, to keep the cloud in a pas de deux. When it's tired and weak, it will then fly away within a week. In a cry of bravery, man opened her window. "People of Kaweens, let me be for 14 days. I have trapped the angry cloud in my own ways, and here it will surrender, and soon after we will all recover." The island cheered, the children and elders, the warriors and weavers, the mothers and fathers, even her father, the chieftain of Kaweens, had nothing but tears all over the old beans. Now for Kaweens to discover, they must wait till all is over. Part 2. The Sickest Man of Kaweens. Inside her hut the angry cloud was proud, for there was nothing she could do in the corners of her lonely bungaloo. She thought of ways to catch and scare, she made plans to trick and snare, but the cloud won't retreat. It's not so easy to accept defeat. The cloud was strong and stout, it was tricky and smart, and found ways no doubt. For days and nights the two danced and raised, and man didn't see the green in her face was traced. On the 5th day, man was almost down. Her breath was out and her spirit in a frown. The people got curious, for her hut was still and quiet. So she said, "The cloud will go delirious. Don't open the door. I just need rest for a moment." In the days the cloud stayed with man, the island had the upper hand. They swept the old beans and cleaned down everything they can. Beans in the ukulele strings, beans in the offerings, old beans on the tables, stinky beans on the stables. Even the faces of the young and able had old beans, including their navel. When the island became clean, sunshine went back to the island of Kaweens. So the farmer and weavers and everything in betweens got back on their feet without the stench of old beans. The island threw a festival to remember this day. The elders and the chieftain were on display. To bury the last few beans deep underground, let it wither, never to be found. In the meantime, man found a clue. To beat the cloud, this she must do. The longer she waits, the weaker the cloud gets, running out of old beans, losing its own breaths. She jump roped by herself and read books on her shelf. She made coconut macaroons and shrank her voice with balloons. The angry cloud could not keep up when man started to play shells in a cup. So she continued to play rough and never gave it even a huff. In the mornings she sang, in the afternoons she carved with a bang. In the evenings she wrote letters, and when it's time to sleep she counted feathers. The cloud was weary and is down to its last beanie. The anger in its face has faded and is now changed, shrunk to an old and aged. When Man noticed this was neither a trick nor a curse, gladly she opened her windows first, and in a sullen mood of defeat, the cloud flew out, accepting its beat. 14 days have passed. Man's father, the chieftain, asked when they saw the cloud disappear, flying away, only showing its rear. Daughter, the island of Kaweens is better now thanks to you. Feel the sun, will show you how, so you can get a glimpse of this beautiful hue. Man jumped and ran, for she had missed the sun as much as she longed for everyone. But what she didn't realize, that the green stayed in her skin and it showed in people's eyes. She's still sick. She has the beans. You'll make us weak. Go back inside because you have the greens. In sadness she withdrew inside her hut, where there's only mold and mildew. Her father sent words of comfort, but the people in outrage made it a difficult effort.
Man's face is green. It's better if she's not seen.
When she gets better, then Kaweens will take her. The cloud with old beans is gone, but the anger that it carried stayed with everyone, so in a way it won. She's going to make everyone sick, said the people.
Make her pick on what is helpful, move to a different island, or stay in her hut without touching our sand.
We can offer her,
said the shamans and elders. Learn the spirit that corrupt her embers, tie her on the stone tablet, examine her, then let her smoke until sunset.
Turn her into a spear, said the warriors.
Take the neighboring islands and arbors, scare them away with her sickness, then claim the islands and its resources. For the first time, man felt fear and isolation. The cloud was a better friend in all this confusion. And as the island of Kaweens thought what's to come of her, her father, the chieftain, stood up to address everyone calmer.
Kaweens is safe and strong. Nothing will ever go wrong. As your chieftain and your leader, let my wisdom guide your hearts further.
A hush blanket covered everyone, as if the problem was all gone. Man found comfort in her father, just like it was when her mother was near her. There was quiet and anticipation, but the chieftain's words were overthrown to continue his proclamation.
Give up, man! We know what to do. The sickness will not go away if we listen to you.
This the people said, putting everything on man's head. In disbelief and perspiration, man felt her tongue shortened and without coordination. Kaweens' murmurs rose to a teeth gritting, waiting for her to surrender and begin answering. But she stood wordless and frozen, so the people in frustration became more brazen. They crowded her with words like spears, pushing her back and down to her knees in tears.
She's a fiend! She's a menace!
This island will be sick and lifeless!
The chieftain could not stop the mob, so he snatched her daughter and thought that's his job, round in his arms, safe and unseen, even if in the end his face turns green. Part 3. Father and Daughter. The two ran to the very edge of Kaweens, away from nets, spears, and guillotines. But man thought of her books and her mother's lectures. Maybe they could get it before their bones get fractures. But her father declined, thought it best to leave everything behind. The two ran through thickets, through caves and trees full of crickets, until it was the far end of the island where the people's anger could no longer lay a hand. They were tired and hungry, but no longer feel the need to hurry. Man was out of breath and sick to the fullest, and her father felt he's no longer his strongest. "Forgive me, father, for causing you trouble," said man, crouched in a mat of weeds and rubble. "You never caused any," said her father, now tired and weary. The chieftain began collecting wood and searching for nearby food. Man rested and counted her breaths, while her father ventured farther into the depths. Whereby she rested her eyes, rustling turned to voices, loudening to her surprise. Man arose to torches beaming from the foliage, as her father blasting from his rummage. "We must go now, man, a boat awaits in the beach." Her father taking her and everything within reach, they threw coconuts and jugs of water in the old boat, a few days' worth of dried meat, and even a goat. The midnight tide met them with light splashes, so they rowed and rowed to the open sea until the torches appeared like matches. The shouts of anger merged into distant waves, with the sea breeze and some birds that misbehaves. "Take your last look at Kaweens, my daughter, for hereon we'll only look forward and farther." With the gentle rock of the boat, man stood in crutches, etching the fading glow of the torches, shaping the crown-like image of the island, growing smaller and smaller to the size of an empty hand. She turned back to where their old boat was headed, and what seemed like a vast sky, star-studded, endless and unforgiving, turned into clumps of islands sprightly emerging. "The islands of Varongs, Brohooklands, and many more," said her father as they saw the cloud heading for the same shore.
"We must warn them, father, of the cloud and what it's after. I must tell them how to prepare to help one another and clean their island air."
Man's journey starts today to give each island a brighter day, free from sickness and sorrow, so they can breathe a wonderful tomorrow. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed The Sickest Man of Kaweens, and thank you for visiting the rabbit hole. And if you do, please hit that like button, and if you want, you can subscribe. It really helps out the bunnies digging for stories. Feel free to leave a comment down below, and if you have more to say or would like to talk about things we can find in the rabbit hole, send an email. So again, thank you, sit back, relax, and let go.